Willpower is the key to success. Successful people strive no matter what they feel by applying their will to overcome apathy, doubt, or fear. Dan Millman. My friends, just keep plugging ahead. Remember, what we're doing here is not that complicated. It's mostly a binary decision. Is the stock or ETF that you are investing in or invested in going to go up or down? That's it, up or down. Yes, they can go sideways, but typically the real decision is up or down. That's it. It's binary. Why is it that hard? Well, because you have billions of other things competing against you. You have bots, you have quants, you have all sorts of analytics, you have people, you have, like we said, machine learning, you have institutions, you have everything you can imagine. But when you learn to surf that wave, that is the key. Each and every day, 10 to 15 minutes, that's all we ask. Let's jump into these charts. Everything's up for the day but Bitcoin. Let's start with the S&P 500. 3 strong weeks of down movement this week, starting off again with a green volume. That means that we opened higher than the prior close instead of lower than the prior close as we had the prior 3 weeks. Doesn't mean the down movement stopped. It just means it slowed down a lot on Monday. You can see we have a red spinning top. This is the Friday, Monday, and that is with the pull-up on Friday and Monday. You can see 2 days of up movement. We haven't breached the trend line yet on the 2-day or on the weekly or the half-day. Now, as we look at things and we look at our chart, remember on Friday, we had a directional probability for the next 5 days of going down at 70%. Support was at 520, resistance was at 568. Look at where we closed today at 567.15. And in fact, since I got into this down trade, it's actually gone down even lower. Now, when we look at the backtest accuracy that we ran on Friday, it was 75% at the resistance level of 568. As we look at things now, I see that we are still 60% short probability. Support is at 560, resistance is at 571. We're showing an entry point at 566.50 if indeed things roll over heading down tomorrow, and about a 60% accuracy check, and it's telling us, around $5 or so in the short in the next day or so, looking to see that track back and down. Our expected move on Friday was around $42.41. We've got a shorter perspective as far as the expected down move. Now, let's keep moving. So that is where we are. And again, we have our resistance and support levels. Remember, we put this trading grid in for you each and every day. If you are a subscriber at chartingwealth.com, you will see it in your show notes. If you're not a subscriber, you're not going to see that grid. So subscribe. It's free. We don't spam or sell that list. You need it. You don't have to write all these numbers down. Where are we with the Qs? Well, the Qs, again, on Friday, 65% probability of going short over the next 5 days. We saw support at 450, resistance at 485. And in fact, as we were getting toward the end of the market, you can look at how much more it's dropped off now. It was right at that buy point. It hit that and bounced off. And again, moving in the right direction. Doesn't mean it's going to keep going that way tomorrow. But again, you can see how on the half-day chart things had punched up, but then pulled back. We have a red spinning top similar to the S&P, and of course we opened higher than the prior close. That gave us the green volume. Green volume, again, does not mean that there's buyers, everybody's buying instead of selling. It just happens to do with whether or not the candle you're looking at opened higher or lower than the prior close. Higher green, lower red. That's all that means. Up 0.65% for the day. And again, as we look at things, I'll tell you 62% probability continue in the short direction on the NASDAQ, 475 support, 487 resistance. Our entry points are around 482, which is right where it is now. And we've got a backtest accuracy of 62.5% at that entry point. Now, let's take a look at 20-year U.S. government bonds. They have been struggling along. Green spinning top last week, but things did punch up this week. On Monday, 0.5%. You can see sort of lackadaisical. It popped up back on the 28th, and then the that's the two-day candle for the 28th of February. That was Friday, and the following Monday, the 3rd. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, you saw where we got a green spinning top and then sort of languishing down. This latest two-day candle with average volume is a doji, a red doji. We've seen things, again, trying to tick up for about the last day, 2.5 days or so, punching up above the very weak trend line that we have right now, but it did that on Monday on the half-day chart. So where does that lead us? Well, we were, again, short coming into it, somewhat ambivalent on Friday. We told you it's about 55%, which is a coin toss. Where are we now? Well, it's bumped up to long at about 70%. The support is at $89.50. The resistance is at $92. Our entry points around where things are now. And the back test accuracy is around 70%. So keep your eye on that over the next 5 days. We'll see which way it runs. Again, looking to go long on 20-year U.S. government bonds. Again, check it out. Look at the charts. Make up your mind. We're not a stock calling service, bond calling service, gold or Bitcoin calling service. We're an education firm. I want you to practice trade these things. Learn how to read these charts. See how the information works for you. Where are we with gold? Well, gold was up for the day just a little over 0.5%. You know, we saw gold punch up there in about mid-February, and then two dojis. Last week, things started moving up. This week, looking nicer. Look at that nice two-day candle with all that volume that finished drawing today. You can see where gold is tracked up, and it went up really fast and then slowed down last Friday and is trying to tick back up again. Where are we on gold? Well, we were long at 60% on Friday. We had support at 268, resistance at 280, and we had a back test of about 65% accuracy on that. As we look at things on Monday, we're long about, well, a little bit more at 68%. We look at our support is at 274.75. Our resistance at 280, entry points at 277, which is right about where we are now. And our back test is about 70.6% accuracy. That is going back and testing how similar entry points and using these similar methods of finding resistance and support and entry points has worked in the past as we go back over the last 12 months or so. That is where we are with gold. Lastly, we'll take a look at Bitcoin. It pulled back just a wee bit, 0.04% for the day, so it's pretty much flat. We were short on Bitcoin on Friday at 70%. We had $20 support, $24.50% resistance. Our back test accuracy was at 70%. Today, with just this pretty much flat movement, our probability over the next 5 days is reduced down just a little bit to 60% going short. Support's at $22. The resistance at $24.55. And again, our entry point is right a little bit less than we are now at $23.80. Well, that's not where we are now. In fact, after hours trading's gone below that. And again, we've only got about a 57% back test accuracy, but there is a lot of weight continuing to push Bitcoin down. That doesn't necessarily mean anything when Bitcoin gets on a tear, but you can see how it's dropped down, popped up, dropped down, heading back up, maybe to hit some resistance and bull back over. Just keep in mind resistance right at that 24.55 mark. If you see it punching through that, bad news for going short. Now, how do you go short on Bitcoin? Well, we do have BITI. That is the Bitcoin inverse. You could practice trade that. That's at $25.74 a share. Remember, on these inverse funds, the price is not the same as the underlying equity, but the way it's structured and set up with derivatives and the people who manage it for significantly more fees. One thing you need to know about getting into inverse funds, but the way it's set up to be managed is that they attempt as best they can, and they're really good at it, in making sure that it is inverse in percentages. So if Bitcoin goes down 5% for the day, you'll see BITI go up 5%. And when I say Bitcoin, I'm talking about the Bitcoin ETF. It's tagged mostly to that. That is where we are, folks, as we end the day on Monday, go into Tuesday. Hope you find this information helpful. We so appreciate you being with us. Always love to hear from you. CW@chartingwealth.com is how to reach out to us. God bless. All the best from Charting Wealth.